She looked straight at me and said the number out loud like it was nothing. 6 or 7 million. A joke, a rounding error. A few people near her smiled, the way people smile when they already think they've won. Then I told them the real number. Silence. My name is Lily Harper. I'm 57. And 2 days after my wedding, my husband's daughter walked into my kitchen with a divorce attorney in tow. Not a wedding gift, not a bouquet, a folder. That's where this really starts. I married Edward Calloway on a Saturday. Small ceremony. Just us, a few close friends, and a peace I hadn't felt in years. My first husband, Daniel, had died young, and together we'd built a business that, over decades, quietly grew my separate assets past $38 million. Property, investments, a company stake, none of it visible, none of it discussed. I never told Edward the number. I told myself it was because I wanted, one more time, to be loved for exactly who I was standing in a room. Nothing more. 2 days. That's how long that lasted. Monday morning, doorbell. Edward out at a client meeting. I opened the door and there was Vanessa, his 33-year-old daughter, smiling too brightly, a man in a gray suit beside her. "This is Preston Wade," she said. "He handles asset agreements. Just 10 minutes. I should have closed the door. I didn't. I made coffee instead. Some old part of me still wanted to believe. Preston slid a folder across my table. Not divorce papers. Not yet. A post-nuptial agreement, paired with formation documents for something called Calloway Family Holdings. My house. Daniel's and my house. Listed as a required contribution. I checked the member list. Edward. Vanessa. Not me. "If a divorce were ever to happen," Preston said gently, "this protects everyone. It protects everyone except me." I didn't sign. I kept a copy. I called Edward. He didn't pick up. That evening he came home with takeout, acting like nothing had happened. When I asked him why his daughter had brought a divorce attorney into my kitchen 2 days into our marriage, his face changed. "I should have talked to you first," he admitted. "I'll fix it. The house isn't going anywhere. I promise." I wanted to believe him. I sent everything to Renata Cross, my estate attorney of 20 years. She called within the hour. "From you at all." She dug deeper. What she found explained the folder, the daughter, the urgency. A redevelopment project outside Asheville. Nearly $3 million over budget. A lender demanding guarantees Edward didn't have. He told me none of it. Days later, Renata got a call from a man named Marcus Doyle, a former investor now suing Edward over unpaid returns. Marcus forwarded an email chain. 6 weeks before my wedding, Vanessa had written to her father. "Once she's married, she'll loosen up. Start with the house. Don't push too hard." Edward's reply, "She trusts me. We'll go slow." I read it twice. Then a third time. They'd guessed my net worth at $6 or $7 million, a fraction of what I actually had. They'd built a whole plan, an attorney, a post-nup, a shell company, around a number that wasn't even close. They never once simply asked. Confronted, Edward broke, admitted the project was failing, admitted he'd let Vanessa talk him into protecting the family without telling me a word of it, promised to dissolve the LLC. We went to counseling. Our therapist, Dr. Elena Marsh, asked him plainly why he never just told me the truth and asked for help, like a partner would. "I thought you'd say no," he said. I might not have. I also might have said yes, on my own terms, if he'd only trusted me enough to ask. The next day, Renata called again. Edward had met with new lenders that morning. Family resources had come up. Again. I asked him about it that night. He looked me in the eye and denied it. I already knew the truth. That was the moment something in me went quiet and settled, like a door closing softly instead of slamming. I hired my own attorney, put it in writing. None of my assets were available to Calloway Family Holdings. None of my name, none of my property. Weeks later, I learned they were pitching investors again, still hinting, still vague, still counting on a number they'd never bothered to check. So I went to the meeting myself. I stood in front of a room of investors I'd never met and told them the truth. My assets had never been available to this project, never authorized as collateral for anything. Vanessa's face went red. "She's worth maybe 6 or 7 million, she snapped. She's making a spectacle over nothing." Every eye in the room turned to me, including Edward's. He had never asked the real number either. I let the silence sit for a second. Then I gave it to them. $38 million. The room didn't move. One investor withdrew before she'd even stood up. Others demanded a full review on the spot. Nobody in that room believed a word about family resources ever again. Edward found me in the parking lot after. "Would you have helped me?" he asked quietly, "if I'd just asked you honestly from the start?" "Probably," I told him, "but with real protections in place. Not paperwork drawn up behind my back by your daughter's divorce attorney." The divorce that followed was almost quiet. Our prenup, the one document in this entire story that had actually been fair to me from day one, made the split simple. No battles, just logistics. Down to who kept the patio furniture. Months later, a letter arrived. 4 handwritten pages. Edward admitted that somewhere in the worst of the Asheville crisis, without ever deciding to, he'd turned my financial security into his backup plan. It was the most honest thing he ever wrote me. These days, I've expanded the foundation Daniel and I started years ago. We fund women rebuilding their careers later in life, after caregiving, after loss, after starting over the way I once had to. Last week, I had breakfast alone at a small cafe. When the waitress reached to clear the extra place setting across from me, I smiled. "Just me," I said. For the first time in a long while, that didn't feel like something missing. It felt like something I'd chosen. If this story stayed with you, I hope it reminds you that the truth doesn't need to be loud to win. It just needs to be said, clearly, once, in the right room. Thank you for sitting with me through this one.